First of all, let me start off by saying this. I've been listening to the Dark Waters channel since 2016, when it all first started. And over that time period, I fell in and out of love with Dark Waters himself. Just like everybody else, he goes through phases where he's active, then he's inactive. He goes through phases where he's arguing with people, and he's not arguing with people. But the one thing I never questioned about him was whether he was telling the truth or not. These events happened back in 2017. Long before anyone started talking about the Facebook groups and the activity that happened inside of them. I joined one of the Dogmen Facebook groups. And in my mind, it's an investigation group. We're going to get together, go to locations, and investigate. But I didn't realize that it was a hell of a lot more going on in this field than what I was being told. And I wouldn't even phrase it like that. It's not what I was being told. It was what I was assuming. I assumed that most people in this field were out to get evidence. Other people in the field were out to just be entertained. Some people to make money. I had no clue whatsoever the danger that I was putting myself in. The very first trip that these guys organized is the Holly Springs National Forest. Now, if you guys know anything about Holly Springs National Forest, then you know the famous Dogman encounter that it all hinged upon. Now, after all this back and forth, on Facebook, it's supposed to be 25 people that go out on this investigation. When I get there, it is only 8 people. Pause right here and let me say this. And I want to be clear with you. I've been in and out of all the groups. I've been in the groups with the fuzzy pictures that people argue and fight all the time. I've been in the groups that have real evidence, that are private, that you can see some scary things. Before you make the same mistake that I did. The majority of the people who say they want to find evidence really don't want to find evidence. They will not go out into the field. Now, they'll tell you, yeah, I'll meet you there on Saturday. I really need you to understand before you put yourself in these type of situations and line yourself up for the foolishness that I did, that they don't really care. At the last minute, something stops them. They get the heebie-jeebies, but they don't really want to find evidence. Nonetheless, we get there, and it's this small group of people. Listen, maybe I missed the memo, but I was under the impression that we were going out there based on scientific signs, facts, looking for footprints, looking for tree breaks, things that make sense. However, once we get out there, the group is being led by this woman who proclaims she's a psychic. No. This is some bullshit is what I'm saying to myself. You proclaim to be a psychic. I have no way of knowing, woman, if you are a psychic or not. But these guys clearly have been following this woman around in the woods on multiple occasions. Now, what made the situation worse was they portrayed it like it was a male-dominated group. But when we got to the field, she was clearly in control. So now I'm protesting this entire situation. Imagine a scene, me standing, leaning on my truck, explaining to them, hold on, man. I thought that we were going out here to do this the right way, not following behind this woman. And everyone gets angry, accusing me of being a sexist, a misogynist. I didn't even know what the word meant. All I knew was it was a whole load of bullshit that was going on. Get this, tempers flare. She looks at them and starts to calm the situation down. And that was the first sign that something weird was going on, because it was the way she looked at them. It was almost like they were afraid of her, and they began to calm down. And she says, listen, this is not going to take long. We're only going to be out here for a few hours. Why don't you just come along with us, and you'll see how we operate and how we do things. Are you familiar with your little inner voice? That little voice that tells you, go left instead of going right, look this way, turn this way. Well, my little inner voice starts saying, no, get your behind in the car and go on about your business. But you see, I wasn't really trained to listen to that voice at that point in time. Oh, buddy, but when I tell you, after this encounter, I became trained and I listen. Oh, let me tell you, I listen clearly now. Because I don't in that moment, and I say, okay, I'll go out with you guys. Let's go. Now, here's the other messed up part about the situation. They didn't want you to carry any firearms into the field. because she convinced them that because of her psychic abilities, they would be fine. However, that was something I couldn't go for. Just couldn't cooperate with that one. So as they turned their backs, I opened the door, reach in the glove compartment and get my sidearm and tuck it away, and then head off into the woods with them. Now imagine the scene. We're walking through the woods, and she kind of has us in this triangular formation, but it's spread out with her in the middle. And she's talking about the woods and how the spirits of the woods and how the trees are telling her which direction to go in and telling her that they've moved towards the river. Now I'm thinking to myself, is this bitch a witch? The more I listen to her and the more I hear her lingo and the more I hear her talking, this ain't no psychic shit. She ain't saying the spirits is talking to her. She's saying that the trees are talking to her and this is talking to her. And I'm trying to figure this whole situation out. Listen, we have been moving through those woods for about 35 minutes. Hadn't seen sign of nothing. Basically, all we doing is frolicking around, following behind this broad in the woods. When she stops us and says, "They're here. Everybody, look around. They're here." And the group of men start to form this circle around her, like they're protecting her. Imagine the scene. She says, "They're here. We found the place." Those men circle around her. I'm outside of the circle looking at the situation like, okay, this is some ignorant shit going on in these woods. And she looks at me and says, "You need to join the formation for your own protection." I pause right here and let me say this to you. And I don't know how I'm going to say this and not sound like a asshole. And I've been accused throughout my lifetime of just being an asshole. But I'm thinking to myself, bitch, ain't nothing you can do to protect me from no damn Dogman or no Bigfoot with your little short, skinny ass. The most I can do is be a flesh punching bag for one of these monsters if they coming to get you. So I start to back away from the group. Again, she screams, "If you want to be protected, fall in rank, get in line if you want to be protected." So now that little voice is talking to me again in my head. That little voice says, "Didn't I tell you not to come out here in these woods with these people? What is wrong with you?" I mean, clear as day, the little voice is saying, "Didn't I tell you not to come out here?" And that right there in that moment is when I knew I was in danger. Not of no cryptids, not of no Bigfoot, not of nothing. I was in danger from this woman and these men. Because the next words that come out of this woman's mouth to these men is, "You go get him and bring him in line with everyone else." So two of these guys break off their ranks and start walking my way. Now y'all remember what I told you. I reached in that glove compartment and I got that thing. I got it tucked away. But the issue in my mind is, do these guys actually have weapons on them? Or are they just that crazy that they think they're going to come over here and physically put their hands on me? So I let it play out a little bit. You know, I don't want to draw down on them and have to shoot them. Once you pull a gun, you need to use it. So I let it play out. They walk up. One of the guys puts his hand on my shoulder and says, "Come on, man, you're making this more difficult than it needs to be. Come on." So I tell him politely, "Listen, man, I'm going to need you to take your hands up off of me, and I'm about to leave." The other guy, who's bigger and more muscular, goes to wrap his arm underneath my armpit like he's going to drag me like I'm a kid and bring me in line. And I tell him, I said, "Man, you got 4 seconds to get your fucking hands up off of me." He looks and starts to yank and pull me, and I reach in, grab my weapon, and pistol whip him across the head. Bow, bow, bow. Now I done backed off. His head is bleeding. The other guy's in shock. She's screaming, "Oh my, what is going on?" And all of a sudden, now everybody become victims in this situation. "What are you doing? You're attacking us." And everybody turns into a victim. The most insane shit I've ever seen. So now I have the weapon drawn and I explain to them, "Listen, I'm going back to my vehicle. You guys can frolic around here in the woods and do whatever the hell it is that you guys do, but I'm going back to my vehicle. And if anybody follows me, I'm killing them right here where we stand." And so I slowly start to back out of there. And when I tell you that man is bleeding out, oh, his head is bleeding all over the place. And the way I see it, if there was a Dogman or a Bigfoot around, oh yeah, they coming to eat on you, boy, because you was bleeding bad. Now get this, they all turn their attention to him and start tending to his wounds. And I get up out of the woods, get back to the vehicle, pull off, but I don't leave. I want to see how long these people are going to be here in these woods. I'm sitting there off the roadway. And here's the freaky part of it. I pull my vehicle off of the roadway into the trees where nobody can see me, but I have a clear sighting of their vehicle. And do you know, they didn't come out of the woods till 9 o'clock at night, even with him bleeding profusely from his head. They didn't come out of the woods until 9 p.m. Now, you may be speculating to yourself like I was, what the hell is this situation about? Why do we even go out here if we're not going to find Dogman, if we just going to follow him behind this woman? I couldn't, and that's where I was for about 2 years. I couldn't quite understand what was going on until I heard Dark Waters talking about the sexual perversion that takes place in this field. I started to do some research, and it requires certain sexual acts and certain murderous acts in order for a human being to change into a werewolf.